Yesterday on News Channel 3 at 6 o'clock, we had a special WSAZ investigation on Innocence Exposed. It was looking into a dangerous new trend that could shatter your child's innocence.
That's right. You've probably heard of sexting and revenge porn, but this goes far beyond that. Children are actually trading and sharing nude photos of each other, and it's all happening in secret social media groups. So the question is, how are they pulling it off, and can parents actually stop it?
That's right. We are joined now by someone who researches this trend every single day, West Virginia State Trooper Rachel Gross, and thank you so much for stopping by to talk about this with us, because it's something that parents really need to be aware of. Anyone who maybe didn't see that investigation that aired yesterday, let's just go over what exactly they talked about. The basics of what you're seeing. These aren't just teens that are even doing this. This is younger kids that are also involved.
Right? Correct. The youngest age that I've been made aware of any possible sexting was 4th grade. And it's really prevalent in 5th grade, especially because 5th graders are getting access to cell phones. They're getting access to social media accounts because their parents are allowing them to have these accounts and these phones because they think they want them to stay in contact with them at a constant, all the time.
Right.
And so they're getting these social media accounts, and then they are meeting people online that they are lying to them about their age and asking them to send these pictures, and they do it.
Sure. Now, I want to put this into perspective for folks who maybe didn't see Jatera McGee's report last night, but this isn't just like a one county thing, right? You're seeing incidences all over the place, right?
Currently, right now, I cover about 6 counties, everywhere from Cabell down to Mingo, and we are with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and we see this several times a week. I'm getting numerous calls from different agencies where they're experiencing these sexting crimes, and anywhere from all the way down to 4th grade and up through high school, and with the most prevalent usually being in middle school.
Wow. And of course, we've seen all of the ways that kids are able to conceal this from their parents. I mean, there are apps that you can hide things on your phone. There are, of course, there's Snapchat where the image disappears. I mean, there are ways that kids know how to get around their parents finding this. So how are you explaining to parents, how can they look for these sorts of signs?
If they don't know what, if they get their child's phone and you have a question on an app, ask your child. Always ask your child, why do you have this app? What is this app? There's instances of those apps like a calculator, and there's a calculator out there that acts as a regular calculator, but if you input like a formula or a math formula, it's your password, and it can open up this private vault for all these pictures, documents, and even your internet history that you don't want your parents to see.
Wow.
So I always say, you know, if they have a second calculator, then why would they download a second calculator? But on other apps that you're not used to seeing, ask your kids and say, why are you having this, or what is the purpose for this app? Or even just starting with a Google search.
Right, look that stuff up before you even need to ask your kids what this app means. You'll already know.
Absolutely.
What are you finding from parents? Are they in disbelief? Are they saying, you know, no, not my child? Or what are you seeing from them?
A lot of parents are shocked. I've had parents that don't even realize that their kids have a email account, let alone a social media account. So a lot of parents are actually taking action, and they are very proactive in trying to deter their kids from making these bad choices, making these bad decisions. However, you know, you do run into some instances where parents don't believe that, you know, that their child could do something like this, and unfortunately it does happen on the occasion, and we try to give parents some apps to help them better to see what their child is doing, and knowing what their child is doing, knowing where they're at all times of the day, and we try to help them along like they're trying to help their kids along and learn the internet.
And we all know that there's a difference between what mom and dad tell you and what someone like you telling them the dangers of this means. So what do you say to kids when, I know you go to a lot of different schools in the area to talk to them about the dangers of this, so what do you say to them?
I always tell them that if it's something they feel like they're going to have to hide from their parents, it's probably not a good decision to do. And also, I go over the legal ramifications, you know, the possible criminal charges, the fact that their devices will be taken from their possession. If, you know, if there is a criminal act committed on these devices, we can take those and have those analyzed. If they're doing it on social media, we can look into their social media accounts. So we're going to know everything that they're doing. And I always ask them, think about what you're doing the past 6 months, and imagine somebody coming in and reading everything that you've done. And a lot of them don't like the fact of having, you know, their business put out there like that and being spied on. So that sometimes will deter them.
Right. And also just the thought of, I mean, as a kid, you don't think about what the future holds, but we all know that the internet does not get rid of things. And so there is a possibility that down the road these things could come back to haunt them.
And I always ask them to think, like, especially if they're in middle school, high school, in the next 5-10 years you're going to be applying for jobs in colleges and everything like that. And a lot of these places are the first thing that they're going to look for is social media, and they're going to see what you're doing on social media, what you're broadcasting about, your beliefs and everything else. And if they do a Google search, and what happens if these pictures are shared online and it brings up these pictures, that may deter them from accepting you into the college or the job of your choice.
Right, Gary. Now you touched on it a little bit, but some of the criminal charges, you know, what are we looking at for these kids?
The criminal charge is sexting. It is a West Virginia code. It's a misdemeanor. However, we are trying to create some type of educational diversion program that they can learn more about why we are trying to help them along and why we are trying to prevent them from doing things like this. So we've been trying to think of some type of educational program. We also tell them that if they are placed on some type of probation, there's a possibility that they not be allowed a cell phone. And so you take a texting capability or an internet capability
big ramification for that
out of a teenager's hand, they're not going to like you very well. So,
all right, very interesting stuff. Thank you so much for stopping by to talk about this.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, as we go to break.